So, I, 30M, have been working in tech sales in Silicon Valley for about 5 years now. I live in California, and if you know anything about employment law here, you know that location is the entire plot of this story. A bit of context. My boss, Derek, loves to fancy himself a legal shark. He's the kind of guy who has a degree in history but treats every conversation like he's on Suits. He's aggressive, micromanages, and constantly threatens us with breach of contract if we step a toe out of line. We're a fairly small team, about 10 of us, and the atmosphere is usually pretty tense. Last week, I found a significantly better offer at a direct competitor across the street. The money is better, the benefits are actually real. And best of all, Derek isn't there. I went into Derek's office on Tuesday to give my 2 weeks' notice. He didn't take it well. He didn't wish me luck or ask about the transition. Instead, he pulled out the stack of papers I signed when I got hired 3 years ago. He slammed his hand on them and said, "You signed a non-compete. You can't work for competitor for 2 years. If you do, I will bury you in litigation until you're homeless." I have a wife and a kid. So obviously, hearing that was terrifying. He kept going, saying that he'd sue the new company too. And I'd never work in this town again. He sent me home for the day to think about my future, implying I should beg for my job back. Here is the thing. My brother-in-law is an employment lawyer in LA. When I got the job years ago, I had him look over the contract. He laughed and told me to sign it because in California, non-competes are essentially void. Business and Professions Code Section 16600 makes them unenforceable. With almost zero exceptions, I knew Derek was bluffing. Or more accurately, that he was too arrogant to know he was wrong. But instead of just telling him that privately, I decided to handle it the Derek way. I spent the evening drafting a very professional, meticulously cited email breaking down the California Labor Code and case law. I explained that threatening an employee with an unenforceable contract to force them to stay or rescind an offer constitutes tortious interference and wrongful termination in retaliation. I attached a few precedents where judges awarded massive damages to employees for exactly this kind of intimidation. Then, Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. sharp, 5 minutes before our weekly all-hands meeting, I accidentally hit reply all instead of reply. My email, subject line, legal notice, cease and desultion of contractual threats, landed in the inboxes of Derek, the HR lady, the CEO, and every single one of my coworkers. I walked into the conference room for the meeting 5 minutes later. The silence was deafening. Derek was red as a tomato. He tried to stutter through his usual agenda, but the vibe was completely shattered. I sat there, calm as a cucumber, checking my phone. After the meeting, the CEO called me into his office. He apologized, shook my hand, and told me Derek was out of line. He said he didn't want to lose me, but he understood, and he signed off on my early exit immediately. But here is where it might get petty. As I was packing my box, 3 of my senior colleagues came up to me. They had been wanting to leave for years but were terrified of Derek's legal team. After seeing my email, which they all read, they realized he had zero power. By the time I walked out the door at noon, 2 of them had updated their LinkedIn profiles. And I heard through the grapevine that 4 others have interviews scheduled for next week. Derek is apparently having a panic attack because the entire sales flow is about to mutiny. Derek sent me a text calling me a scorched earth traitor and claiming I destroyed the company culture. AITAH for using legal specifics to call my boss's bluff in front of everyone. Knowing it would likely cause a mass exodus,